Shedeur Sanders' draft stock is plummeting faster than the stock market when COVID hit. Despite his impressive on-field performance, scouts and analysts are starting to wonder if his social media presence and his father is a liability. Sanders burst onto the scene at Jackson State under his legendary father, Shedeur Sanders. He racked up jaw-dropping stats, throwing for over 3,700 yards and 40 touchdowns in 2022 before transferring to Colorado. When Shedeur took the Colorado coaching gig, Shedeur followed and immediately shattered records. In his debut, he torched TCU for a mind-boggling 510 yards and 4 touchdowns. The hype train was at full speed. But then social media struck. After former teammate Xavier Smith criticized Shedur's recruiting tactics, Shedeur clapped back with a condescending tweet. To top it all off, Shedeur jumped in with a mocking reply of his own. Suddenly, the conversation shifted from Shedeur's cannon arm to his questionable judgment. Given the opportunity to be a generational talent, Shedeur is learning the hard way how off-field antics can overshadow on-field brilliance. It's a tale as old as time, isn't it? One errant tweet can flip the script on a player's reputation. Shedeur's still the betting favorite to hear his name called first in 2025, but his tumbling draft stock is proof that in today's NFL, character matters as much as play on the field. But before diving into all the details, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. We just saw Spencer Rattler go from being a projected #1 overall pick early in his college career to ending up being drafted in the 5th round. Maybe Shedeur Sanders should ask Rattler how a little reality TV can throw a wrench in your draft dreams. Rattler, the once-hyped Oklahoma QB, saw his stock plummet after appearing on the Netflix show QB1 Beyond the Lights. Scouts and execs couldn't shake the image of a cocky, immature kid who didn't seem ready for the big league spotlight. Flash forward to Shedeur's social media fiasco. When ex-Colorado safety Xavier Smith threw shade at Shedur's recruiting methods, Shedeur couldn't resist clapping back. In a now infamous tweet, he essentially dismissed Smith's entire college career. As if that wasn't enough, Shedeur piled on with his own snarky reply. Father-son Twitter trolling at its finest, right? It's okay to have your son's back as a father, but being the head coach of a Power 5 program should come with standards. The NFL world wasted no time pouncing on the controversy. Insiders like Albert Breer called out the Sanders family's antics, and just like that, Shedeur's draft stock took a nosedive. His odds of going #1 overall plummeted from +100 to +300 on DraftKings. It's crazy how fast perception can change in this league. Let's be real, social media is a double-edged sword for young athletes. One minute you're riding high on highlight reels and fan love, the next you're getting dragged for an ill-advised post. In Shedeur's case, his online outburst is starting to overshadow all the amazing things he's done on the field. Suddenly, scouts and fans are questioning his maturity, his judgment, and his ability to handle adversity. It's a harsh lesson, but an important one. In the NFL, your character is under just as much scrutiny as your arm strength or 40 time. GMs and coaches want leaders who can keep their cool under pressure, not guys who will pop off at the first sign of criticism. Shedeur has all the physical tools to be a franchise QB, but he's got to prove he can handle the mental side of the game too. So where does he go from here? The good news is, there's still time for Shedeur to rewrite the narrative. He can let his play do the talking, show growth and maturity in his interactions, and rebuild that trust with NFL decision-makers. But it won't be easy. In a league where first impressions mean everything, Shedeur's social media slip-up could haunt him for years to come. Speaking of haunting decisions, Shedeur Sanders is no stranger to controversy, but his recent comments about Shedeur's draft future raised more than a few eyebrows. Is the elder Sanders pulling the strings behind the scenes, Eli Manning style? Could his outsized personality be hurting Shedeur's prospects instead of helping them? Let's be real, Shedeur Sanders isn't exactly a wallflower. The Hall of Famer has never been afraid to speak his mind, even if it ruffles some feathers. And when it comes to his son's future in the NFL, you better believe Shedeur's got opinions. Shedeur recently appeared on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast and straight up said he plans to pull an Eli Manning and steer Shedeur away from teams they don't like. Remember when Eli refused to play for the Chargers back in 2004? Deion's apparently ready to go full stage dad and orchestrate a similar power play. As juicy as that scenario sounds, it could actually do more harm than good for Shedeur's career. NFL front offices aren't exactly known for their love of divas and drama queens. If they get the sense that Deion's pulling the strings, they might think twice about hitching their wagon to the Sanders train. It's a tricky balancing act. On one hand, you've got a father who just wants the best for his son. He knows the ins and outs of the league, the politics, the pitfalls. Why wouldn't he use that knowledge to give Shedeur every advantage? But on the flip side, there's something to be said for letting a young man forge his own path. Shedeur is already facing questions about his maturity and decision-making thanks to that Twitter beef with Shedeur Smith and his infamous watch-flexing incident. The last thing he needs is his dad adding fuel to the fire with headline-grabbing comments. Time will tell how this all plays out. Maybe Deion will take a step back and let Shedeur's talent speak for itself. Or maybe we're in for the wildest, most chaotic draft night since the Manning bros were in short pants. Either way, one thing's for sure. When the Sanders family's involved, boring ain't an option. Of course, draft position is just one piece of the puzzle. Making it in the NFL takes more than raw talent. It takes grit, leadership, the ability to shine under pressure. That's where things get really interesting for Shedeur. Because for all the question marks around his social media presence, there's no denying the kid is a flat-out baller when the lights are brightest. You know what they say, the bigger the hype, the harder the fall. And man, has Shedeur Sanders been riding a tidal wave of hype. I mean, the kid's highlight reel is straight out of a video game. But here's the catch. In today's league, being a baller on Sundays isn't enough. Nope, you've got to be a role model 24/7. No slip-ups, no controversies, just a squeaky clean image that sponsors and fans can rally behind. And that's where Shedeur's story takes a twist. While he's been lighting up the box score, Shedeur's also been making headlines for all the wrong reasons. That Twitter spat with Shedeur Smith? Not a good look. His dad's Twitter beef with former players and fans? Even worse. Suddenly, the Golden Boy's halo is looking a little tarnished. It's a classic case of on-field excellence clashing with off-field question marks. And if you're an NFL decision-maker, that's going to give you pause. Sure, you love Shedeur's arm talent, his poise under pressure, his leadership skills. But do you really want to hitch your franchise's wagon to a kid who might be one tweet away from a PR nightmare? Let's be real. The NFL is a business, a ruthless, bottom-line business. And the last thing a GM wants is a player who's going to bring negative attention to the team. Some guys just can't get out of their own way. They've got all the talent in the world, but they can't stop making headlines for the wrong reasons. Maybe it's a string of arrests or a history of locker room drama. Whatever it is, it's a red flag that can scare teams off. For Shedeur, the challenge is clear. He's going to show teams that he's mature enough to handle the spotlight, to be a leader in the locker room and the community. But can he? And he's got to do it all while his dad's larger-than-life personality looms in the background. Speaking of Deion, let's not forget the impact he could have on Shedeur's draft journey. The Hall of Famer has never been shy about speaking his mind, even if it ruffles some feathers. In his recent comments about steering Shedeur away from certain teams, that's the kind of thing that can make GMs very, very nervous. Teams know that when they draft a player, they're not just getting the guy on the field, they're getting the whole ecosystem. Family, friends, and their entire entourage. It all comes with the territory. And if there's one thing NFL front offices hate, it's drama they can't control. Call it the Eli Manning effect. Remember when Archie Manning orchestrated Eli's draft day power play back in 2004? That move sent shockwaves through the league. Suddenly, the idea of a player or his family dictating where he would and wouldn't play was very real and very scary. Now, imagine that scenario playing out with Shedeur and Deion. The Sanders family drama amplified by social media and 24/7 sports talk. GMs having to field calls from an irate Deion every time his son's play dips. Constant questions about who's really calling the shots. Is that a headache any team wants to take on? Did we forget about Odell Beckham's father calling out the Browns and Baker Mayfield a few years ago? It's not just about his flashy stats or family name. Teams are digging deep into his character, leadership skills, and ability to handle adversity. A questionable tweet here, a whispered rumor there. NFL GMs leave no stone unturned when it comes to vetting their future franchise faces. And in Shedeur's case, there's plenty of smoke brewing. You better believe every post, like, and comment is being scrutinized under a microscope. Teams are asking themselves, is this a kid who will keep his cool under pressure, or will he crack at the first sign of locker room drama? It's a massive gamble investing millions in a player who might be one clapback away from a PR dumpster fire. To top it all off, you've got Dion's larger-than-life presence looming over the whole process. Sure, having a Hall of Famer in your corner can open doors, but it can also raise eyebrows. GMs are wondering, will Dion be an asset or a liability? Is he going to be a supportive mentor or an overbearing stage parent? The last thing any team wants is a diva dad calling the shots from the sidelines. History has some sobering lessons for Shedeur too. We just saw Spencer Rattler fall for these exact same reasons. Kid had all the hype in the world coming into college, between the Heisman buzz, top pick projections, the whole 9 yards. But then the whispers started. Immaturity issues, bad body language. Suddenly, teams were slamming the brakes on the Rattler bandwagon. It's a cautionary tale that has to be weighing on Shedeur's mind. He knows he's got the physical tools to light up the league, but will his off-field antics affect that? Can he convince NFL decision-makers that he's got the head and the heart to match that cannon arm? Given the opportunity, Shedeur could be that guy. He could silence the doubters, rise above the noise, and let his play do the talking. But he's got to be willing to put in the work, not just in the weight room or the film room. He's got to prove that he's got the maturity, the humility, and the hunger to be a true franchise cornerstone. And he's got to do it all while navigating the minefield of media scrutiny, family expectations, and his own sky-high ambitions. It's a tall order. But hey, nobody said being a star QB was easy. If Shedeur can rise to the challenge, if he can block out the noise and let his light shine, he might just go down as one of the all-time greats. The road ahead is bumpy, but the destination could be legendary. It's time to take a hard look in the mirror. He's got a choice to make. Let the noise drown out his talent, or rise above it and let his play do the talking. If he can show NFL teams that he's got the head and the heart to match that golden arm, the sky's the limit. The road won't be easy. It never is for young QBs in the spotlight. But if Shedeur can block out the distractions, lean on his support system, and stay laser-focused on his goals, he might just cement his legacy as one of the all-time greats. Or if he continues to make headlines for all the wrong reasons, we may watch a similar decline to that of Spencer Rattler. The ball is in his court.